The next question we had was, what was your learning journey?
I really love this question, thinking about it, because I think that learning is a process, and you're kind of learning about yourself in the process, how you take in information. And a lot of that can actually be affected by your own mindset, which is one of the parts of my learning journey that I want to share. And what I learned, I'll give you an example. So I was in college at Swarthmore College. That's my alma mater. So I went to Swarthmore College. I majored in biology, and pretty much up until that point, I was, doing well in high school. Mostly A's, I had a couple B's, but pretty much A student. And in college, that was the first time that I really kind of hit into a challenge with learning, where something wasn't coming to me easily. And so this was physics, my first physics class, because we had to take all our pre-med prerequisites, and physics is a part of that. So I took this physics class, and the stuff was just not clicking at all. It was just like, I don't really know what's going on in the class. This is really hard. So doing homework was just absolute dreary experience. It was just like, I don't want to do this. It was always a chore to do it. And somehow I got through asking my friends questions, things like that. But, you know, um, push come to shove, at the end of that experience, clearly I didn't do well. So I ended up with a C in the class. And after I got that, that was the first time I had a C. And I said to myself, this doesn't feel good. I don't like this. I don't like this feeling at all. And I just started reflecting on that experience, and I said, what could I have done better in this situation? Where did things go wrong? And I just started like really deeply thinking about that. And I noticed number one wasn't asking questions in class. So when something didn't make sense to me, instead of saying, I didn't get that, teacher, even though our professor, she wrote really quickly, but that's not an excuse, because if I'm in the class and I need some more understanding, then I can ask a question. And if class time isn't enough, then I have access to her in office hours. So I saw that there were clear moments where I wasn't realizing that I needed to do more. And if I wasn't understanding something, I need to actually clarify that. And the more important thing was that my kind of view of myself was, I should have gotten this already. I didn't get this the first time. So what's wrong with me? What's going on here? So it taught me that that's not how learning works. And everybody has their own process of learning, and that it does take some time for certain things, and that's okay. That might not be kind of what your tendency is, or your predilection is toward a certain thing. You don't kind of gravitate towards it naturally. And that's okay if you have to review it a couple of times or ask questions. That's learning. And so I learned that you are not supposed to get things right the first time. And if you do, that's awesome. You cannot keep pushing forward, but your goal is to understand. And however you understand, you do what's necessary to get to that point. So there's a book called Mindset by Carol Dweck. And that was a book that I got introduced to in my first job as a tutor at a high school. I recommend it to every student that's listening. If you are, I think some of you have already been exposed to this book and probably this kind of thought process, but I would recommend it because it describes a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, which the fixed mindset says, I am here. My level of intelligence is something that I can't change. So if I don't get something off the first, on the first try or with the first bat, that means that something is wrong with me, that my level of intelligence is not at a certain place. And that's just not true, because we're very dynamic and we're learning. That's who we are as human beings. So it teaches you that your job is to acquire information, and that when something doesn't come to you the first time, it's actually a challenge for you to figure out, how do you learn it? And it's a challenge for you to say, okay, didn't really understand it this time, so what do I need to do next? And that moment where you don't get something actually teaches you about how you learn, so that you can become more familiar with how you approach absorbing information. So that's kind of my note on learning. And I think the growth mindset is one of the best ways for you to really learn the best and achieve success in your life in general, actually.